we'll move swiftly on to something that's clearly very closely related around sexual abuse. Do you want to move straight into that report as well? Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, the sexual abuse, again, there's, in terms of our audit regime, and there is a common theme, like the Chief indicated, that obviously we deal with that across all these reports, so yeah. I apologise for repeating myself. We've obviously seen that, we've seen it, a lot of the non-recent abuse continues to form a significant proportion of the number of offences that are reported to us. And again, it's just to really sort of reiterate, that doesn't necessarily indicate that we've had an increase in offending. This is increase in reporting offences, believed to signify the continued increase in confidence in West Yorkshire Police and survivors that we've got a more efficient and effective process. Multi-agency working within the safeguarding teams. We do know that we've got a number of sources now that we have been reported to West Yorkshire Police, either through referrals from Operation Hydrant, which is the national operation that Mr Bailey, Chief Constable Bailey runs. With Third Sector, we've got the Indecent Images, Child Sexual Abuse Inquiry. We may get referrals through from that. So again, no matter what those pathways into West Yorkshire Police, it's absolutely really important that I stress that each of those keys are reviewed across the agencies and consultation, and that the level of service to those individuals is the same. We're very fortunate in West Yorkshire, and again we do have a very good detective inspector who works with the rape and serious sexual offences team, RASO with CPS, and again our outcomes in respect of charges of those are probably well, best in the region, if I might say so. We're doing really well around that, I think. And again, we're looking to see how we can develop that and educate other detective inspectors so that they've got that same level of expertise in terms of reviewing those cases that actually go to CPS. Looking at the data, we have actually seen an increase in recorded sexual abuse cases of 9% between the 1st of March and the 28th of February, and the 1st of March 2016 to the 28th of February 2017. And again, that's I've already articulated that. We don't necessarily, that means that's an increase in offending. If we can sort of go to page 2 really and talk about the ongoing work that we've got. We've actually again revised the serious sexual offences policy. That's based on benchmarking across and ensuring that we are really contemporary in terms of our allocation. Our investigative processes are absolutely at the pinnacle. They are obviously clearly investigated by all safeguarding units, and again we've done an awful lot of consultation with each of the policing districts to get that to pull, and that's just in the process of being rolled out across the 5 policing districts. I've talked about the health and well-being really of suspects who are arrested for sexual offences, and again we've devised a form that sits within custody. We've done the training with the custody officers about making sure we've got that duty care about suspects before they leave custody or those that attend voluntarily. We've also again done the standard operating procedures around serious sexual offences and sexual offending. We're continuing to monitor the audits. We've done one in July of last year, and we've repeated that again in February this year, and we've shared the findings of those recommendations with the policing district. There's one issue was around when calls were actually being recorded at the customer contact centre, the actual logging of those was not quite as tight as it could be. So again, we worked with Tom Donoghue and his team to make sure that's absolutely spot on as that, to make sure we've got the right logs so we can actually then report confidently on data. There was an issue around specialist trained officers, what we call STORs. The numbers obviously with people leaving the organisation and moving departments, we'd actually seen a drop off in those. So again, we've revitalised that, and we've got a full training programme around upskilling new officers around being the first response officer to serious sexual offences, which again is critical part of the process in making sure that we capture the evidence, provide the victim care at the earliest opportunity. Mountain Healthcare, as you're aware, now provide the sexual assault referral centre service. I know David Smith has worked tirelessly on that. It has been a challenge. it still continues to be a challenge based on the estates issue, which I know you fully cited on that. And obviously we're looking to look at a new premises, which will be fantastic moving forward. We are the busiest SARC in the country, I'm told.
The busiest run by Mountain Healthcare.
Yeah.
They run SARCs all over the country.
Yeah, so again, the volume going through there is quite significant. So the estates issue does obviously provide a bit of a strategic risk for us moving forward. We've also got the evaluation, which again is really important. Getting the victim feedback and the voice of the victim and our victims and survivors is really important to us. And this year, on January, which again is quite a good step forward to us, was getting the feedback by the independent sexual advisors. Numbers have been relatively low, so we're looking to see how we can revitalise that and revamp that to get more information back from victims, so our services can be more effective moving forward. It's really important, I think. Just strategic risk implications. I mentioned the one about Mountain Healthcare. Again, the force really failing to properly acknowledge and address victims' complaint correctly. This was a national risk, I think, was where believing the victims, and I think we've done an awful lot around that with officers and making sure that victims are believed and that those investigations are processed. That was more of a national report around that. And again, it's just the level of volumes that are going through the safeguarding units continues to pose a risk. That's monitored by us from the governance unit, and we look at that as a foothold force.
Okay, thanks for that. Just to follow up with a few questions on that then. So obviously we've got some of the statistics on page 2 that you referred to there, Darren. Could you sort of explain what steps West Yorkshire Police are taking to encourage victims or survivors to come forward from BME communities, for example, and how this might be embedded within the victims' code within the neighbourhood policing teams, for example?
Yeah, this is something that I think there's opportunities for us to improve on that. We do chair a regional, force-wide group where we talk around sexual abuse in its wider context. So FGM, forced marriage, and honor-based abuse in this particular working group. And your office is actively involved in that. We've also got local authority leads that sit on that group. We've also got CPS and CAM and Nirvana looking at opportunities, working with local communities to see how we can report this. And I know we're going to maybe talk about honor-based abuse, but again, a lot of that is hidden crime, and again, it's how we educate our neighbourhood officers to identify that within their own communities and look for opportunities for, not necessarily to report to police, but opportunities within the third sector where they can actually go direct to officers. Again, another where we are looking to develop is where we can get intelligence on these things. So we've developed with the intelligence a portal where people can report intelligence to us direct through to the force intelligence with our key partners, which again, that's something that our partner agencies have struggled with in the past, and again, I think it's really quite unique as an opportunity. We've done an awful lot of training with CAM and Nirvana, who have provided that extra support. We did a three-day course, and we've got specialist officers within safeguarding units and neighbourhood officers now who are identified as champions, who can actually identify that within the districts, if that makes sense to you. So we've done work with the DCRs, we've also done with the Customer Contact Centre to make sure that everybody within the force is actually trying to extract that information and identify that within communities at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, you make comments around the role of the independent sexual violence advisors, and as you know, I've tried to plug some of the gaps in that provision through the commissioning of those. So, you know, it's interesting to see those comments, and I would like to see what more they can do, if you like, around the sort of intelligence or the you know, their role as ISFAs within the county.
Yeah, I agree,
Yeah.
agree with you totally.
Yeah, the reason why I mentioned the BME aspect was because it strikes me as though there is an underrepresentation of cases, if you like, in terms of proportionality, what you might expect. So it's just something to be mindful of, and Carmen Nirvana, of course, are somebody that we work with, but there are lots of other organisations in West Yorkshire that I think we could probably do more with around this. I note the comments around the Sexual Assault Referral Centre, and as you say, it is a battle to get adequate provision in place. It is good that Mountain Healthcare have stepped in and provided a good service, but we're just limited, as you know, at the moment around the premises. But it is something we are in conversation with the health service on, to look at a more sustainable provision for that service going forward. But you know, I'm absolutely, just want to make clear, I'm absolutely committed to supporting you and our other partners to making sure we've got the right services for that going forward, and I know all the staff in my office are as well, so we will find a way forward on that.
Could I just touch
Yes.
on what
Yeah.
you said there around BME communities, in particular around victims and survivors? I think this is particularly pertinent to why we are trying to push so hard around positive action work around recruitment, because clearly if we could attract some more women from our BME communities into the service and perhaps into this area of specialism, we might actually be able to improve the reporting. So whatever work we can do with women's groups out within the community, I'll be really, really keen to be able to use this as an example of why this is so important for us to get a better representation from communities.
Yeah.
And another opportunity is developing that infrastructure within the multi-agency sharing hub,
Yeah.
and link with our partners around
Yeah.
the data that they have that we can work with.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks so much for that report then on sexual abuse.